good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Pro and Bro Wrestling Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Arnold Telegaarda.
And I'm missing no days off, Fred Rosser, episode 70. I always say, Arnold, anytime we have a guest on, it's very near and dear to me. I've had many people over my career say, oh, I want to be a WWE superstar, or I want to train to be a wrestler. And I've had hundreds come up to me and say that. And there's only been one that has successfully done it. And anyone that's tuning into this podcast, if they think I'm going to talk about, the lows of someone or like a release, they might as well just stop watching or stop listening, because I'm here to share stories that matter. I'm here to share stories of people that served in our country. And one half of the Forgotten Son, Steve Cutler to the world, but Steve Kuprick to me. Thank you for joining us on Pro and Bro Wrestling. I always say, don't die with the story and you tell it.
Well, thank you for having me. And it's great to, just be on here and have the time to be here and speak my mind and tell my story. And then just even to catch up with you as well. It's been a while.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually was telling a story the other day how I got into wrestling. And I was talking about, I met Fred at a Railroad Cafe with my buddy Jarrett when I was still in the military. So it was just, it's crazy, wild, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, Steve, it's like when you're in the WWE bubble, you're making moves, man. I'm making moves. But when it all comes down to us talking, it's like we never missed a beat, So like I said, we're finally doing it. And Arnold was confused because the Zoom you're using is Deanna, my girl, Perazzo. And we'll get into that.
Name popped up. I was like, do we have the wrong guest today? What's going on?
Yeah.
I'm not the tech savvy one.
No, all good. All good.
But two of my favorite people, and we'll get into that. Arnold, take it away.
We always ask the same first question to all our guests. Were you a wrestling fan growing up?
Oh, yeah. Die hard. I grew up on it. I was raised on it by my grandparents. My grandmother from Scotland and my grandfather's from Ukraine. And we lived in a 2-story house. So my parents worked a day and night shift. So I was usually home with my grandparents growing up. And all the time we just sat. They had wrestling tapes they would get from work, from WCW, old WWF stuff. But a lot of the times we'd be sitting there. My grandmother's favorite was Piper and Giant. So I grew up in that good late 80s on VHS tape, and then into the 90s, New Generation, then of course the Attitude Era and WCW during that time. So it was great. They were just sitting on the couch with them and on the porch was always the best.
I always hear Piper to be a lot of grandma's favorites. Whenever I hear stories about wrestlers, they always say, oh yeah, my grandma loved Piper. And that's always a thing for some reason. That's really cool though.
He was the bad guy at that time that, all women probably wanted but didn't want to admit.
That's true. Good point. Who was your guy, though?
My guy growing up? Probably Bret Hart when I was very, very young. It was funny because a lot of my friends loved Hulk Hogan and Warrior and all them. I loved Bret, Shawn. I loved Razor, like all the younger mid-card guys for the Intercontinental title. Like at that time, it was such the highly praised title in WWF or WWE at that time. It was just, that's where my niche was, and everybody loved the larger than life characters, but then it evolved into Stone Cold, hands down.
Oh yeah. Well, I think we're around the same age. So I think when we started watching wrestling when we were kids, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, they were kind of on their way out, and we got like guys like you said, like Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. That's why they called it the New Generation. So they're starting to take over. But so I understand why Bret Hart would be your guy. I
hated WrestleMania 9 finish. Hated it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I was like, no, go away. Even then, go away, Hogan.
And you know what? To this day, I still don't know why Hogan had a black eye that night.
I don't know. There's probably some story behind the scenes. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to explain it. Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that it was because of Savage or something.
Oh no.
Wow. Yeah, I had read it. I just read that recently. No, I actually watched a documentary on YouTube about Savage, and yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. So with you, being a fan of Bret Hart, watching wrestling as a kid, was that something that you knew right away? Like, this is what I'm gonna do when I grow up, or was it just one of those things where you just enjoyed it as entertainment?
It was one of those things I just enjoyed it as entertainment, but just like any kid though, like it's like, wow, I want to do this one day. Just like
Oh,
playing
wow.
football, and I wrestled amateur growing up. So it's like, oh, maybe there's something to this at some point. And then just life took over, and obviously just being a fan all throughout high school. And then when time came to find out what I wanted to do, I joined the military, and then that's kind of the route I started to go. And life just kind of, I let take control,
Wow.
figure out where to go.
Wow. Well, thank
Hey,
you for your
hey,
service, man.
hey, yeah, exactly. Thank you for your service. And Steve, you're so intelligent, bro. Can you take us a little bit on that journey of how we met? You're from Rutherford. I'm from right. You're from Rutherford, right? I'm from Union Township. We all came from the same area, Arnold. You know, and Steve is the only guy to ever say that he was going to make it, and he did it. So, Steve, take us on that journey on how we met, and then from then on, the steps that you took with Larry Sharp.
Well, I was on leave on a weekend. I drove up, and it was my normal routine on a weekend. I would drive the 10 hours to come up north to see my friends in New Jersey from North Carolina. I was stationed at Camp Lejeune. And I literally would drop my bags and then go hang out at the bar with my buddies because I'm young and dumb. And one of my buddy, Jarrett Gato, was there, and we went to high school together. And he was like, hey, he's like, one of my friends from WWE's here. You want to meet him? I'm like, hell yeah. Who the hell would like, like, no, yes, please. Because he knew I grew up as a fan and I wanted to do it. And he always tried to get me to do stuff on the indies even before I joined. But then Fred and I just kind of sat, we talked, and it was just funny to just like meet somebody, because like you don't ever really expect to just sit and kind of meet casually. And then when it does happen, it's awesome. And we just got to talking, and he just was telling me like, you have a good story. He's like, obviously you have your right head on your shoulders. You're doing the right things. If you ever want to give this a shot, you should try it. And I tell people all the time, like, that's the one thing that got that in my head, because me growing up, you see guys like Stone Cold, Undertaker, Andre the Giant, friggin' Big Show, just anybody at that time, like you see larger than life, and you're just like, there's no way a 6-foot white guy from Rutherford, New Jersey is going to be able, like, there's no way. But then wrestling evolved, and it just kind of took over. And once he got that idea in my head, and my time in the military was coming to an end, I tried to re-enlist, and I was denied for my MESEP package because of tattoos policy at that time. So I was, all right, cool, let me go to college. And then if I want to continue the military, I can just re-enlist and go to OCS. But then at that time too, I was like, well, you know what? Let me give wrestling a shot. And I wasn't doing very well kind of adjusting to normal life again too. So wrestling is the one thing that helped me get back into the real world. And Jarrett brought me to a school in North Jersey with Gino Caruso. And it was about 3.5 hour drive for me from South Jersey to North Jersey for that. And it just wasn't going to work out. And then I just started doing more research. And then out of nowhere, Larry Sharp's Monster Factory popped up, Paulsboro, New Jersey. And Danny Cage just took over. And Larry's still being there, but Danny was the head of it at that time. And it said, hey, we have a tryout this May. And this is in 2012. So I was like, sweet, only 30-minute ride for me. I go to school, I can do what I can, and then train at night. It's perfect. So I get there, I do the tryout, and I never felt more weird in my entire life of the people that were walking in the door as I'm there, because I'm picturing like built, gigantic men, like women, like you would think, like, but no, then there's a guy there that has an HBK tattoo, a mullet, all walks of different life are coming in, and I'm just like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I was like, I want to do this trial and I want to get out of here as soon as possible. I'm like, what am I doing here? And then they come in the room. They said, all right, guys, fill out this paperwork. You do this. So I signed my, like the licensing agreement, God forbid you get hurt and whatnot. And then my information on my bio. And then they said, who wants to go first? Like, I will, please. I will gladly.
Wow.
So we're in this like little cheap warehouse at this time, because it's before the facility that the Monster Factory is in now. And the ring's set up, and there's a panel of everybody up there, and QT Marshall's there, Punishment Martinez, Damian Priest now, Larry Sharp's there, and then Danny Cage, and then a bunch of other people. I have no idea who anybody is other than Larry Sharp, because once I researched the school, I was, all right, who is Larry Sharp? Did my research, because if you don't know somebody in wrestling, you should try to get to know whoever is in the business, because it's I don't know, right now. I just thought that because I did in the military. If you didn't know
Yes.
somebody that was a old vet, you kind of learn who they are and that you learn the history. But I'm sitting there, and then of course you get the old veteran thing of like, oh, you don't know who I am, and of course that's I'm like, dude, I am so sorry. Like, I only follow ECW, WCW, and WWE. I was like, I'm so sorry. And they're like, oh, it's all right, it's all right. Like, what's your name? Blah blah blah. Tell them all my information. All right, hit the ropes. Hit the ropes. You never been in a ring before? And of course, I lied to him because I was in a ring a couple times before that. Hit the ropes properly, do everything. I like to say that I was a natural.
Yes, yes.
Like, take your bumps, take your bumps. I'm, all right, cool. Like, all right, cool. You got potential. Like, all right, cut a promo. I'm like, okay, what would you like me to talk about? And they're like, all right, look at that dot up there. And then it says, oh, Bret Hart's your favorite wrestler here. And I'm like, yep, you're facing Bret Hart at the Garden. I was like, oh, here we go. Probably cut the worst promo ever in my entire life. Of course, you had no idea what I'm doing. I'm thinking full-on 80s promo. And I know Danny probably has that somewhere in his little film room. But yeah, once we did that, I got in and we just we kept going. I had my first match that following November. And yeah, crazy times to just see how it kind of went. And then to even lead off of that to get how I got to WWE, Gerald Briscoe came in for a tryout and a seminar at the Monster Factory. And I just started taking bookings outside the Monster Factory too. So I'm all right, I'm getting into the indies, kind of seeing what I'm doing. Started wrestling in Delaware and Pennsylvania. And then Briscoe comes in, sits down with me, about 2-hour talk. And everybody else there hates me at that time because they're like, oh, come on, Steve. Like, of course, I don't know. Danny hyped it up, and then Briscoe just, I don't know, attached to me. And he knew I wanted it. And that's what I wanted to do. So we sat for about 2 hours, talked.
But Steve, I'm sorry to cut you off. What was Briscoe? What drew him into you? What was it about you? Was it the amateur wrestling, the discipline? What drew him into you?
Probably everything just on my background of my story, because I know Danny probably talked about being military, good head on my shoulders, doing what I'm supposed to do, properly bumping, just listening and do what I'm told. Usually was the only one that showed up at the factory for a while. Me and Anthony Bennett were the only two that would show up on show days to go get chairs from the high school, bring it to the venue. Like the things that you're supposed to do in wrestling, put up the ring, take the ring down. And like doing that by yourself to put up a ring is just degrading after a while. Cause then you're sitting there, all right, well, I don't want to train now, but then you end up bumping yourself anyway, running the ropes.
I've been there. Yes.
It's just, that's the things of paying your dues, and you learn that way. And then things did obviously change in NXT when I got there, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But you're always going to pay your dues in some form. But we sat with Briscoe to get back to that and just talked, and he was just down to earth. And I love being a Briscoe boy. I take pride in it.
Yes.
Glad he has a lot of talent that he has signed and that have gone to tryouts and that have gotten signed to NXT and then still have gone on with WWE careers. And yeah, just awesome. And we did the tryout, did the seminar, and then after the show, he just kind of said, just don't go anywhere else. Don't take any more bookings. Be smart, take care of your body, and just keep training.
Wow.
And then the last thing he said, don't get any more tattoos.
Oh.
Because at that time, I wanted to finish.
Oh, man. No.
And Danny looks at me and he goes, I told you. And I'm like, I know. But it's for marketing purposes and like how you look. And obviously, you know, but it's a very smart thing to say because you can do that later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was in July of 2013.
Wow.
And then 2 months later, I got my email for the trial in August of 2013, and the PC just opened that July as well. And then I was going to extra work that October, and lo and behold, I'm there as an extra, and on the way there, I get the call that I got signed. And then, of course, Fred's there, and it's great. I'm showing up, I'm like, hey, I got signed. He's, oh. He's showing me around everybody, letting me know and introducing me, just being a good brother. And just helping me out because I don't know anybody. And instead of being treated like an extra, like sometimes like people treat extras like extras. And
yes.
I never understood it because they're trying to do the same thing you're doing.
Yeah.
But he was just nice enough to take me around and introduce me to everybody. Hey, just got signed. And it was just funny to see who was nice and who wasn't. Because like I always remember those things.
Exactly, Steve. Sorry to cut you off again. Please hold your thought. I seriously, like, I always say when I do interviews, I remember a lot of my memories with WWE, but a lot of it was a blur. I do not remember showing you around what, Florida Championship Wrestling was it, or the Performance
No,
Center?
we were in Buffalo the first night. It was WWE Battleground. It was the night that Cody and Dustin were facing the Shield.
Hmm.
It was in Buffalo because I did the 3-loop day. That it was Buffalo, Columbus, or Buffalo, Pittsburgh, then Columbus, in 3 days straight. But yeah, you were laughing because the last night was a SmackDown, and you said you have no balls to go shake Vince McMahon's hand.
I said, oh,
Yeah.
oh,
I don't know if you
I think
remember this.
yeah. And
So
did you do it right?
huh?
You did it right?
Yeah, because he was standing there, and it was funny because he's just standing there, wasn't on his phone. He was just kind of by the monitor in the back where all the boys are sitting. And I was like, okay, cool. And I just went up, thanked him, introduced myself, and just thanked him for his time. And I'm happy to hopefully work for him one day. And obviously, I was signed, so it was great.
Oh my
Sure,
goodness. I am so I I am so upset. I do not remember that. That's why I say a lot of my memories were a blur. I do not remember that, man. Oh, I can't believe that. Well, at least I was a good guy. That's just who I am, Arnold, you know?
Baby face through and through.
Yeah, you helped me around. Even in catering, we were kind of hanging out. I just kind of sat with you, and everybody was kind of migrating. And it was just good to introduce and listen to everybody and just talk.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Were
small
you
world.
overwhelmed with how fast everything was going? Because it seems like everything was hitting you all at once.
Yeah, I was very lucky in that aspect of only a year and a half, really just starting wrestling to get signed. And at that time, WWE wasn't signing talent that was very well named on the indies because they wanted originally NXT to keep building off of
Mhm.
just their own homegrown talent. And I got what they were doing. But then that changed within 4 to 5 months of me being there when the first takeover happened, and then Kevin Owens came in. And then Kenta and Finn Balor came in, and then the floodgates just opened up to the indies because they
Yeah.
were seeing their numbers
Mm.
from the internet and what NXT was becoming. And
Yeah.
Hunter's a brilliant mind, and he saw ahead of
Mhm.
time what was going to happen, and that was a boom. He literally was just taking the best of the indies and putting it into a WWE program. And he's smart, just brilliant
Yes.
mind.
Yeah.
I would have done the same. Like, who does? If you're not going to see where you're going to take that ride, you got to take that ride. That wave is going that way. Go with it.
Yeah. When you first started with NXT, who thought of the name Cutler? Was that something that you thought of yourself?
Wow. So that came back after maybe about four. Byron Saxton, I was at that time taking all the lists and stuff for Dusty for names.
Uh-huh.
It was great because Byron's just one of the best human beings in the world.
Yes. Yes.
He is super
Yes.
nice, man.
When I got let go, he was the first person to only call me. Everybody else texted.
Oh God.
I just took that more of like, I appreciate the call. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
just the text. But either way, I'm still appreciative of text as well. But the call just made it
I
funny.
could listen. I couldn't talk to anyone. Okay, I couldn't talk to anyone. So you and I are in the same boat, but you handle it different. You handle it differently. I was very upset.
I was very, don't. I was pretty angry for the reason, but I'm
Ooh.
pretty good with Byron's just a good human being again.
Yes. Yes.
It was just good. He's like, hey, Marine. I'm like, hey.
Oh man.
Yes.
But yes, Byron was taking work for there in the office for Dusty for creative because he was just kind of doing announcing and everything back behind the scenes. So I put in maybe 4 lists, and my thing was just going on Google of all my favorite movies and favorite characters, and just taking names and last names and mix matching them. So like, there was a bunch of names, but after the 4 lists went through, it went from 100 to about 60 to about 20 to about 10 for my last list. And then they came back with 2 names and it was Bill DeMott that said, hey, do you want to be Alton Wolf? So it's Alton, Wolf with an E, or do you want to be Steve Cutler? So I went home. I said, let me think about it. And then I went home and I'm just kind of like writing down names of like Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Alton Wolf, Undertaker, and like seeing how my name fit like in between that. And when you say it out loud, I'm like, it doesn't work. And then I'm just like, Steve Cutler. Like, does it sound generic? Yes. But then like everybody just started calling me Cuddy after a while.
Yeah.
So it became its own nickname within the locker room, and everybody, I'm going with Steve Cutler. It just fit better. And I got to keep my real name, which was great.
And I think, like you said, like with all the wrestlers that you just mentioned, I think that was the right call because if you look at names, like all the big stars, they don't have too much gimmicky name, with Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Steve Austin, Steve Cutler. So it makes sense. I think you made the right choice.
Yeah, I was excited, and it was fun to just have a name and have that creative process. Granted, it took a while, but it was just cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe about 6 months when I first got there, and
Mm.
then I got there January of 2014, and then at that time, the first month you're not allowed in the ring.
Oh,
Mm.
So again, every day it was just the Mott's rule. Like I knew what he was doing. I knew his game to it, and like I never had a problem during that time,
yeah.
just because I was like, listen, I know what you're doing. I know you do FF.
Yes.
You just mess around with people to weed people out. I get it. And I was like, this place is
Yes.
high school.
Yeah.
So it's
Yes.
funny because you have that first month out, and then you're just itching to get in a ring because you're finally there, and they want you to just get acclimated. But I'm just like, I want to wrestle. All I ever want to do is wrestle and work.
Mm.
Steve, off the top of your head, what coach was drawn into you, or what coach did you connect with at the performance center?
When I first started was Nick Dinsmore. Nick
Uh,
Dinsmore was in charge of the beginners class at that time, and then Robbie Brookside eventually took over, which Robbie's another one that drew to me as well. But Dinsmore
mm,
was in charge of the class at that time, and you want to talk about a mind that can train people in just anything in wrestling. Dick
yes.
Dinsmore, hands down, he's a brilliant mind in the world of wrestling, and I
I
can't
think you
thank him
joined with a
enough. Like
coach.
I went in with the basics, but he just kind of opened my mind more to different things of like, this is why you take your time with this. And then
Mm-hmm.
be the one where you would lock up and he just kind of like walk you around and be like, all right, loosen up, like do
Mm-hmm.
this. And even drills, he always oriented towards like taking Cena's comeback in the drill. Because
Wow.
Mm.
he's like, if you want to bump and feed, he's like, you're going to bump and feed for the top guy. If you don't know that feed, then
That's smart.
so he just, yeah, like one of those things like, okay, I know why we're doing it. Like you just kind of start to realize why you're doing it. And he was just a smart man. Well,
Yeah.
he's a smart man. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
You
then
were, oh, go ahead.
Robbie Brookside took that class over, and then I'm of course just drawn to Robbie because he's a larger than life human being and naturally outside of wrestling, but even in wrestling, uh, he's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. Your first few
um,
months on, and sorry, Fred, go ahead.
oh no, no, oh no, you got it, Arnold.
No, I was just gonna ask your first few months in NXT, you were wrestling as a singles wrestler. So how was that experience for you?
It was different because I was mostly babyface, and when I was training at the factory, I was mostly a heel, which I loved because it's just like more natural to me, and
Yeah.
I'd rather we work together as a match, but I also like to kind of say, hey, slow down or like dictate the pace. I'm very more on that side. I like to just kind of call it from that aspect. But yeah, it was different because I'm like trying to listen to what the rules are and trying to figure out how they want to because the producers at that time, like, you got to listen to them. This is my first time ever dealing with producers, and I
Mm.
don't want to screw up or not listen and get a bad rap with somebody because then I'm
Yeah.
going to get. And that's just how that for the first 2-3 years that I was there, or the first 2.5 years, every day felt like you were just pretty much just fighting for a job.
Mm.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
just how easy it was. Even in promo class, if you didn't cut a good promo, I felt like I was going to get fired. So I was there Monday.
Oh God.
Even if I wasn't going to actually cut the promo, I was still there. Like
Wow.
so, literally Monday through Saturday, I was at pretty much at work, and then Sundays was my only day off when I first got there for maybe the first year and a half.
Wow. Wow.
See, this is what I'm talking about, Arnold. I mean, the grind that Steve and I had to go through, and the ups and downs. And I wanted to ask you, how often do you do podcasts?
This is second. This is my fourth podcast ever, I think, being on.
Wow.
Fourth podcast, cool. And like, it's great.
I did
What's
one for the
that?
VA. My buddy Tanner at the VA. I helped him out. We did a piece with him, and I just did one the other day with Pop Smoke Official, is another veteran. My buddy Dan, and yeah, just not very often. I'm doing very many podcasts.
Yeah, and Arnold, it's crazy. I had hit up Steve a while ago before the release, and I had no idea. That's why I didn't hit you up, because I was like, what the hell is going on? And then that's when you had text me saying, well, I guess I can do that podcast now. I'm like, oh, with WWE, you need permission to, I always got to keep it PG, to wipe your butt. When you're on your own, you're independent contractor, so you got to grind. So what I'm just saying to you is, when it comes to sharing your story, always like quality over quantity. But again, don't die with the story and you tell it, man. For me doing this podcast, I don't do it for the numbers. I do it because it's practice for me. It's practice for me talking. I do it with my real life neighbor. It's like therapy for me. So that's the reason why I do this. Again, I don't worry about the numbers. This is just fun and practice for me. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was cool because like when Fred told me that we were gonna have you on, one of the first things he said was like, "Man, like I really love the Steve guy," and he's like, he's super inspiring because he's one of the guys that said from the beginning that I was gonna make it to WWE, and you actually did it, and that goes to show what kind of person you are. You know, once you have something set in mind, there's nothing stopping you, and that's why you're a winner in life.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Like I've even with getting let go and how it happened and what kind of happened with it. It sucks, but at the same time, it's a blessing in disguise. And I had a bunch of people tell me that. And it really is. Like now I'm very, like, it maybe took me 2 weeks to kind of get away from that anger phase.
Sure.
Yes.
Now I'm just like, all right, let's get this done. Like, what do we got to do? What do I got to do to get a film crew? And then I reached out to some friends. I did a few vignettes with a kid from Full Sail that I had in touch with, and it just wasn't working right to the way I wanted to put out my own quality and my own product. So I was all right, what do I got to do? And then I hit my buddy Tanner up, who I did the VA podcast with, and he used to work with NASCAR as a production on that side. And it was great because now I'm like, all right, I want to be in a production company. I want my own production.
Wow, that's cool.
Like now my mind is like kind of like open to just so many different things other than just that WWE bubble.
Sure.
Which we get sucked into because it's just that everyday Groundhog Day, 24/7. You're just all right. Well, like, it's just that's the way it becomes, and like, yeah, I'm just so I smile a lot more now. And I told Fred this the other day. I was like, I find myself a lot happier mentally, no matter what now, just because I'm like, it's on me more. Where if I feel it's on me, and that's the best part about it. And I can't hear no anymore. If I hear no, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not working with you. Like you know, it sounds awful to say that, but I've been given so many no's now to where I know I'm my own business and I'm my own product as an independent
Exactly.
company. So I'm just like,
bro.
You know, tell me why, and then if we can't work together, we can't have this relationship.
Yeah. For a second there, you're gonna use Shawn Michaels' line and say you found your smile.
Steve, you took the words right out my mouth. With the platform that you built with, WWE and being a veteran in the Marines. I hate using the word former. For me, I call myself, because I had some time with WWE, even as an extra. I hate the word former WWE superstar. I call myself WWE veteran superstar because we put a lot of miles on our body, and now we're able to use our platform moving forward to say that we've done some stuff with WWE, and also we're trying to, do other projects. And again, we got to grind a little bit more, but hey, it is what it is. Definitely use WWE's platform to just make moves. You know what I mean?
Oh, I got it. And that's the one best thing too, is like no matter what, WWE on a resume is something have, something great to have. And then even I'm lucky enough to still be a veteran as well from the Marine Corps. So like having those two, and I'm applying to jobs now as well outside of wrestling. And like when I put an application, people will call me back. They're like, wait, like you're a wrestler too? Like, what do you yeah, like wrestle with WWE and blah, blah, blah. But it was even funny when we were signing the lease for the housing, for the mortgage paperwork, for the title information. They said, all right, you have one piece of paper to sign left. And they just hand me 8x10 of me. Yeah. I was like,
oh, and congrats, by the way. I learned that you guys are homeowners now officially. That's a big deal, man.
Yeah, it was a process. We started in October having it built, and now we're in our new office and all of her accomplishments on the wall.
Wow.
I kind of want to take it back a little bit to your NXT days because you accomplished so much there. I feel like the Forgotten Sons is such a cool name, such a cool branding, such a cool group. Whose idea was that to put you guys together like that?
So what originally started as me doing America's Greatest Son, I just started pretty much coming out as a condescending vet where, oh, you want to thank me for my service now? Like, where were you? Like, just using that against people. And then like, they would say, oh, you can't do that. You're walking a fine line. I'm like, yeah, but I'm a vet. Like, I'm not opposed to it. Like, it's going to offend anybody. It's going to offend me. Why can't I just like, I'm just using something else to get a little bit of heat that's natural these days.
Yes.
And I was doing this for a while, and Joe Bel Castro was the head writer of NXT at that time, and he'd be there for promo classes. And Blake would always annoy me. He'd be like, "You got to change it up. You got to find something else." I'm like, they're telling me they love this, and they just working. And I'm like, I know where I'm doing. And I would try different things in the room they had there, but it was just one of those things where I'm just like, no, this is who me as like what I feel I am now. I can use, and it was working at live events. And this was so many years in NXT. So at this time, NXT was just wrapped. I was still doing this America's Greatest Son gimmick, and we're going into the holiday time, December, January, and NXT just went on a tour to Japan, Australia, and California to end it up. And Blake gives me a text, and we've been riding together for years, and it's pretty much together since the beginning when I was there. And we always would joke, like, why are you partners with Buddy? I don't know why I'm not your tag partner when I understand you a little bit more, or why you're doing it. It's just funny to just, nothing against Buddy. It'd just be funny to just hear that. So it's just funny. I'm like, yeah, Buddy, why did you do that? Why didn't you just do that? Because it's simpler. And I'm, oh, mate, oh. But it's just the car banter, and it would go back and forth.
Yes. Yeah.
But it was just always funny. I mean, Corey were just always hanging out. Even we just became best friends outside of wrestling, even outside of the PC. And he just texted me, and we were talking about it for a long time, being a tag team. And he goes, "Hey, I just got told I can't be doing this gimmick anymore. Are you serious about being a tag team?" I'm like, yes, let's go. Like, I'm all in. Because at that time, all the indie guys were coming into the singles guys. You Adam Cole's, Kyle O'Reilly, like Bobby Fish. Bobby Roode came in. Drew just came back. Like Aleister Black. Everybody was coming in singles guys. So like there's no tag teams. And we just saw the writing on the wall of Revival going up. American Alpha just went up. Like, sweet, we could just slide right in there. And then Blake, of course, goes, "We're going to have to work some of these PC shows." I'm fine with that. And like, whatever we got to get in front of the writers to get on TV.
Exactly. Yes.
And like, oh, what a ride. And then we originally called ourselves BAC, of blood alcohol content, to play on that, but it was Blake and Cutler.
Wow.
And one of our first promos we did was with Street Profits, and they were just starting to get a push on TV at that time.
Sure.
So the tag team division at that time just had this buzz starting to build, even just from within the PC towards TV, and it was great. And we were excited because we're all right. We got TM61, we got us, we got the Street Profits. Heavy Machinery was just starting to get their stride going as a tag team, and it was just like, all right, wow, we have a foundation to build off of what Revival just did with DIY, and continue to just make NXT grow and grow.
Yeah.
And that took about a year and a half for Blake and I to get off our feet from when we originally got there, because we had pitched so many ideas. He wrestled Drew McIntyre on a pre-show in Chicago. I was supposed to wrestle Aleister Black. My match got cut, but we were still supposed to have a promo backstage after Blake's match, and that's how we would have joined together. And just a little segment to be like, all right, we're both sick of this, and like, you were forgotten, I'm forgotten type thing, and let's join. That's just supposed to be what happens. That didn't happen. That was Kank. So here we are after Full Sail, taping after taping. Hey, what's going on? Hunter's just like, yeah, just give it some time. We're just trying to, okay, cool. Like, we just want you to know we're ready to go. We're waiting, man. And then we were on a road loop one time, and Steve Carino put Jackson Riker with us. Chad Lale was at that time. And he goes, "You guys kind of look good together." And we did a 6-man, all three of us. And we're like, yeah, it felt kind of good. Like, it was kind of cool to just have like a trio and play off it. Now we can maybe do that, the Freebird rule with it.
That's right.
So cool. There's something to it. Let's try to mess with things. And of course, we brought in like our kind of persona of like the American thing, but then they brought it into where it was going to be us like being forgotten as military guys. And then Blake was just the guy from Texas type of thing. So it was always funny that everybody thought Blake served, and he really didn't. So he'd be like, "Oh, no, not me," because everybody would thank us for our service sometimes, like fans-wise. And he'd be like, "No, I didn't do anything." He's like, "Let him thank you."
Yeah.
But, yeah, it started to take its stride. And then for some reason, just Hunter never wanted to pull that trigger on us. I don't know what it was.
Yeah. Okay.
It was just a weird time. We just never understood what it was in NXT. And we always got told that, like, "Oh, you guys are main roster, like Vince guys." Like, yeah, that's great, but like, I've been here long enough. I want to accomplish something. Like, I want to feel like I accomplished something here.
I hear you.
And like, we put our heart and soul into the gimmick of trying to figure out what we were, and just Hunter just didn't see something with it.
Mm.
Appreciate him for the time that we had and us getting called up, and
Yeah.
the time we did have there was fun. Live events were the best.
Well, you guys definitely made
Mhm.
a mark because, you know, as for me as a wrestling fan, you guys are definitely memorable. So you guys definitely did your thing.
Not forgotten.
So yeah, we were talking about the Forgotten Sons, and of course, you guys had such a great run. In my opinion, I thought you guys made your mark. And I before I get to my next question, a question that I forgot I was going to ask, you actually worked in the Performance Center before the Thunderdome. How awkward was that for you?
It was a letdown to the call up a little bit.
Mhm.
Just because I spent 6.5 years in the Performance Center. Granted, I'm
Oh,
so so granted so grateful for like Hunter letting us know. It was 2 months before Mania, or actually no, towards the end of February, March. Blake and I had our last match with Grizzled Young Vets, and beforehand, we're going over the match. Hunter pulls us aside, and he's just, "I'm just gonna let you guys know that you're getting called up." And I laughed like obnoxiously, kind of in his face. I felt so bad for him. I was excited, but I was just like, "Oh wow, I never expected this was gonna happen." But it was just one of those moments like, haha, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got told that we were going up, and then of course this is pre-COVID. So yeah, it is end of February before March, and we were still working. We were still working the live events, Blake and I, but we're finishing up our bookings there. But wow, what a difference of what we thought our call up was going to be to what it ended up being. Granted, still so grateful. Got to work with what you call it, Kalisto and Metalik and Lindsay. Sorry, I'm just drawing a blank on names.
Oh,
Just
for
because
sure.
they're the
Yeah.
first people we worked with. I'm trying to think of what our first interaction was, but it was with
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
And yeah, it was great to work with them, but at the same time, it was very different with no live fans and hearing just Michael Cole and Graves. And Cole was great about it, though. He said, "Listen, no fans." He's like, "Lay it in." He's like, "Talk."
Yes.
He was
Yes.
very good about getting us up to par of what was supposed to happen and what needed to happen for a
Mhm.
debut match. And I can't thank Michael Cole enough for that. And Graves too, just for how they talked about us and put us over on that aspect of saying that we were a force to reckon within NXT and our dominance, even though we really didn't have dominance in NXT.
But Steve, hold your thought. You know, the commentators are so important.
Very.
For me, like doing New Japan, and that's like my first like was it last July? Last July, like was my first matches with New Japan, and with no crowd there, I was still in the zone. At the time, we were creating movies. You know what I mean? We're creating like a live combat theater. So again, you don't got to tell me. Hit hard in safe places, being physical, having guys like on New Japan, Alex Kozlov and Kevin Kelly really put over the story and put over me as a person. That's so important. And it's funny, you mentioned Michael Cole, and I've mentioned it on the podcast. There was a time when me and Bob Backlund were doing vignettes on TV, and there was a time when they panned to the commentators, and Michael Cole and JBL were like looking at the camera like, "What is this? Like crap." And I was furious. In the back, I stormed to Gorilla, and I went right up to Triple H, and I was like, I mean, what the hell's going on? These commentators aren't putting us over, you might as well just bend me over, And Hunter was like, whoa, hold on, Darren, and then I think that night Vince kept Michael Cole and JBL and had the footage queued up, and they watched it back. And Vince McMahon said, guys, next time you got to put over the angle between Bob and Fred, And from then on, JBL didn't say one word to me. He would just like look at me in catering, and there was a point where like years ago you're intimidated, but at that point I would be like on purpose in catering. I'd be like, "Hey, how you doing, John? What's up, John?" He wouldn't say two words to me, but it was Cole that night of Raw, when Raw went off the air. He called me personally and apologized, and said, if you ever have any issues, just come to us. Don't go to Vince or Triple H. But I was so upset. That's why we can share our stories like this, because I'm laughing in my head, because I can relate to you dealing with like the headaches with WWE and like all the craziness that we've gone through, man. So like I said, don't die with the story and you tell it so I can get what you're saying, bro.
Quick interruption real quick. Sorry.
Oh, there he is. What's good?
Oh my good. Look at my boy. Look, he's like, look at my boy. I need WrestleMania tickets. I need WrestleMania tickets.
But no, to get back on the track for with Michael Cole, yeah, he was very helpful to us. And yeah, it's funny. I was always one to, I'd never skylight type stuff. Like when I'm pissed, Blake knew I was pissed. Mm-hmm. So he'd be like, shut up. I'm like, I know, I'll go walk away for a little bit. And then I'll go to the individual and do it behind the doors. Cause to me, that's all, even in the Marine Corps, that's how I always dealt with stuff too. Just because it keeps the office out of business that needs to be taken care of, that the boys can take care of, or the girls.
Yes. Yeah. That's the respectful way to do it. And I think that's how people should do it, man.
Yeah. And then I think that's in any aspect in life too. You don't have to, because some people don't know.
Yeah.
You can't get mad at people for something they don't know better than. But we're all green in some way.
Yeah. So after that chapter kind of closed in your life, you had a brief run as the Knights of the Lone Wolf. How did that come about?
That came about by the end of us. We were supposed to win the tag titles from New Day. We were set for a good little push there, and then it kind of got halted in May of last year. For kind of what was going on in the world, just socially and social media, from Twitter, from one member of our team. And it kind of sidelined us. And Blake and I went in the next day to kind of figure out what's going on at TV. And they said, you guys are fine. We're going to keep the storyline going. And then Big E and Kofi kept in touch with us. Like, yeah, Big E was good with me, just saying, hey, like, I'll let you know if anything's going to change. He's like, I know they're keeping you guys off TV for a few weeks. Like, yeah, cool. We kind of saw the writing on the wall. I'm like, oh, they're going to sideline us. So it kind of got scrapped. We saw the Cesaro and Shinsuke story get pushed in, and they won the tag titles, and then it moved on. So then here we are back at the drawing board of like, all right, what do we need to do? And we kept pitching. And every week I was sending emails to Bruce Pritchard and Team SmackDown of just like, hey, this is an idea I have for us coming back this or upcoming week, or how you can reintroduce this, whether it's with Riker, without Riker. We turned babyface. We can do this. But every week for 8 months from that time we were out because of that, we just kept pitching ideas. And around October time, when they were at the Amway, I just got fed up. I'm like, listen, we just got to go to TV and show face and get a meeting with Vince, because nobody's giving us answers. We're getting the same smoke blown up to us. I was like, let's go talk to Vince. And that's what we went and tried to do. And then, of course, that was shut down. If we're sitting outside his office, we had people coming to us saying, hey, you don't want to be sitting here, it just annoys Vince. And I'm just like, okay, well.
Oh, please. I've heard that. Not to me, not to my face, but
No. And like, I'll call them. It was Mark Carano just coming to us like, hey, go sit. I personally, like, he has one. Yeah, I'll call him out for it. I really don't care. But it's just one of those things where it's just like, I'm like, all right, I'm just sitting here. I have talent coming by saying, like, Bailey's like, you guys are in the right spot. Keep doing what you're doing. So for 3-4 weeks in a row, we just kept showing up to SmackDown. And then finally we got face-to-face with Bruce. And it was great because he's just like, what, we got to do a completely new you guys. You guys are without Riker. It's just you and Blake. We want to know what you guys do in your personal life. And what are you about? I'm like, listen, wrestling's all I kind of do. I lift weights. I hang out with my dogs. I like to shoot guns. I watch sports. Like, I'm very boring outside of wrestling, but when you put me into wrestling aspect, I can be entertaining and larger than life. That's where I can turn it up a little bit. And then it's okay, cool. And then I'm like, I like to drink whiskey. If that's something you want to know. But so Blake and I we had that meeting with Bruce and with creative. And then within the first next week, we just made our own packet of different looks, different ideas of gimmicks, to then just submit again. That we already submitted the previous 8 months. And Blake and I, the one we kept going on was trying to make a new version of APA. And we wanted to try to evolve off of what they did and make it our own, because now we can work every brand, whether it was Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. And it keeps us on our downside that we're already still with an NXT contract where we can work all three brands.
Yeah.
So it's just like, if you're paying us NXT money, let us show up everywhere then. It makes sense. And then it keeps us in the public eye. If you can't book us on SmackDown this week, you can book us on Raw. If you can't book us on Raw, you can book us in NXT. Like, it just lets us go everywhere.
Yeah.
And it keeps a buzz, and it builds a brand, and it builds a name.
Yeah.
That got shut down. So like, it's just, you're trying to work. And like I said earlier, like, you get so many no's and you get used to it. And then it's like, after a while, it's just, all right, well, what is it? And then finally they let us know, like, hey, come to Amway. We have an idea with you guys, possibly with Corbin. We're like, okay, cool. So like, yeah, so you're going to be like his hitman. And originally Corbin mentioned it to us, like almost like a Wilson Fisk Kingpin type gimmick. So now my brain's going, all right, sweet. Let me watch Daredevil again. I watch Kingpin. All right, Blake can be more of like the clean cut type deal, and I can be more the Punisher-esque. Like, and then we started looking up ideas for like gear and whatnot, or what we're gonna wear, and working with Corbin on that. And Corbin's a very brilliant mind, very underrated for what he is. He's very good at what he does and protects his own brand very well. I have to give props to him on that. But we just kind of throwing ideas off of each other. I'm all right. Well, if he's Kingpin, we kind of don't want to be in suits. How can we look kind of like intimidating, but also eye appealing? And then we kind of just took the Hitman gimmick from the video game and wore that. And then within a few days after that, creative comes to us like, hey, we want you to look like this. And it's a picture of a bunch of different NBA players wearing suits and hoodies. One was like a lime green suit and a hoodie. Another one was LeBron wearing a hoodie and a suit. Me and Blake are just like, what the heck? Like, this? All right. So then our idea was, all right, when we go to TV, you wear one, I'll wear the other. Let's see how this goes. Of course, I wear the Hitman style. He wears the suit and the hoodie. We get there. They said, all right, cool. Vince wants to meet with you guys. We're like, oh, perfect. So Bruce and Vince are sitting there. And then he goes, hey, boys, we say hello to him. Say, oh, thanks for having us back, blah, blah, blah. Pleasure working with you. Thank you for the opportunity. Of course, just doing the normal thing that you would do when you see Vince. And he goes, well, Bruce, which one do you like? And he goes, I like that one. And he points to Blake, and I'm just like, shit. All right. I didn't show. I tried so hard to not show it. I didn't show it. I was like, okay, cool. This is where we're going to go. And there's, all right, beard's gone. Hair, you gone. So just instantly, we're fully beard. I have still a little bit of a long hair going. Blake's still long hair, but full beard. We just literally just show up full bearded, and then we just get groomed as we're there. And the first person to see is Cesaro, and he just laughs at us. He's just like, but then the best part of the story is, though, too, we didn't have matching suits. So now they want us in a suit and hoodie, and now we're 45 minutes away from bell time going live for SmackDown. And Blake and I are leaving Amway to go get suits at Men's Warehouse.
Wow. They
don't have tailored suits, so here we are in non-tailored suit, going out on live TV. And this is the WWE. Like, you're picturing, like, they have everything planned out. They have wardrobe. They have this. None of that.
Wow.
And like, but to us, we're laughing like we kind of knew this was going to happen. It's just typical fashion of like, hurry up and wait type thing, or here we go. It's just, they literally came up with the idea that Monday and then had it set for us to be there that Friday.
Wow. That's crazy. That's fun.
But it was fun, though. It gave us something new to sink our teeth into. And like, a lot of people didn't know it was us at first until Graves said it on commentary, because nobody's seen it forever. So it was cool for us to do something fresh and try to change. And now here we can evolve into something.
Yeah.
And it just, it kind of just went downhill when COVID was kind of hitting WWE pretty hard. The Mysterios got COVID, the whole family, or not all of them, but someone in the family got it, so they were exposed, so they had to quarantine. So that took us out of that. And then Murphy got COVID, and he had to get on.
Oh, wow.
And then I got, then I tested positive for COVID, but I had no symptoms from it. And then that's the day that I was presumably fired by Vince in the meeting, because it just was one of those days you don't want to catch the boss in a bad mood. And that was one of those things. And you hear the horror stories all the time. We've always joked about it. It's just like, he can fire you for the simplest thing. And that was that day I was made an example of.
Wow. Wow.
It sucks the way it happened. Like, granted, but like, I learned from it. Like, believe me, I learned from it. Because it's just kind of crazy how it all happened, and the telephone game that happens within the business and the company that, oh, they were at this party. And it's just like, no, we weren't at that party, but nobody ever wanted to get back to me on a New Year, because it was at New Year's.
Yeah. Wow. So, I mean, I saw the headlines, but I didn't know that that's really how it went down. That's really
They said on the phone by Mark Carano that it was because creative had nothing for me. I instantly let him have his piece on the phone the day I got the call. I let him speak his mind, and he's like, there's anything you want to say? I was like, yes, I have a lot to say. I spoke my mind. I said what I had to say about what we were doing and what my thoughts were of why I was fired. And he said, I can't tell you that's not the truth, but I got to tell you that creative is has nothing for you. And then I said, well, I guess creative has nothing for me for the past 8 months that we were there pitching ideas to get back on TV. And I guess you couldn't use any of that. Here we are in a storyline. You just gave us merchandise as the Knights of the Lone Wolf, but I guess creative had nothing for me. I can be angry all I want now. It's great, but it's not going to do anything for me.
Sure.
It's not going to do anything for the company if I bash them, because I don't need to. They've done so much
Yes.
good.
Yes.
They've done so much good for me. I wouldn't have this house without being employed
Yes.
by them.
Exactly. I'm getting goosebumps just you just saying that, bro. You just hitting it right on the head.
Well,
It's just no good, because I would love to go back someday. And there's always the chance of always going back for anybody. And that's the one thing that is said in that company is never say never in wrestling, especially WWE.
Well, one door closes and multiple doors open. And, you mentioned earlier that you were looking at other careers outside of wrestling, but with wrestling related, was there any other companies that you see yourself working in the future with the multiple gluttony of options out there right now?
Yeah, there's options. I've been getting bookings. Obviously, I can't say anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because of my 90-day no compete.
Yeah.
Fifth, but I have bookings already kind of coming up, and then talks of other companies. I would love to get to New Japan. That's always been a dream of mine. Even when I had my tryout back in 2014 or 13, I'm sorry. If I didn't get signed, which I didn't think I was going to, my goal was to go to New Japan. Just because that just,
there you go.
to me, was like just one of those routes I would love to have learned under that tree. And the way Japanese wrestling just is just, I love that style.
I feel like it's a badge of honor for all the wrestlers that work with New Japan. It's kind of like, like
that. Even like the on-growing of what made it even more is like two of my best friends of Mikey Nichols and Shane Thorne. Like they both were as TM61 and being over there as the Mighty and TMDK, and God, like just getting to work with them and then just always just sharing stuff for Japanese style from Noah and New Japan. And I'm just like, I just like that part of me was like one day, and like now I kind of have that opportunity at some point to do that. And that's why I said I love that everything is now on me.
Yeah.
If I want to get there, it's on me to do it. It's not on anybody else. It's I have to go out and do the work now, which I'm very happy to do, because that's all I've ever wanted to do once I've stepped foot in the ring. And even with the company, I was probably the most annoying with pitching ideas and staying alert. But like, it's just, listen, I'm an employee. I want to work for you. And if I'm coming for that and that's the problem, then you're the problem, obviously.
Steve, man.
Mindset, man.
we can keep going on and on about the struggle. No, it's good, man. We can keep going on and on about the struggle, but yeah, I'm very happy that you're able to share your story yet again with another social media outlet. It's like a second job, you know what I mean? So before we take it home, I want to hit you with 21 totally random questions. Just answer them as fast as you can. And are you ready to roll?
Yeah, go ahead. I was looking forward to this.
Okay. What's your favorite thing in your closet right now?
Probably my gun safe.
When things break, do you prefer to replace it or fix it?
Fix it, and if it can't, then replace it.
What job would you be absolutely horrible at?
Mark Kronos.
Oh yeah. When he called me, because he called me, he did say on the phone, calling you was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in wrestling. So I feel half and half is true, because he would I was a well-liked guy, and it's just it is what it is. Him and I would have at it sometimes, because he would joke too much sometimes. But anyway. Yep. What's your favorite movie ever?
Tombstone.
What's the most disturbing thing you've ever witnessed?
Oh, come on. This past year.
Yeah, exactly. If you had the world's attention for 30 seconds, what would you say?
Put down your phones, live life.
Yeah, you're right, bro. You're right. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Not putting your shopping cart back at the grocery store. I yell at Deanna all the time, because she's just like, just leave it. I'm like, no.
I don't want to be
bro,
part of the problem. I'm part of the solution.
I'm just cramping up. I'm just because I have the stand-up desk. So I like to do the podcast standing up. So I'm like cramping up from laughing. Uh, what makes you anxious?
Success.
Yeah. What's the stupidest thing someone has dared you to do?
Jump off my garage.
Oh goodness.
When I was little, I did it.
Yeah. What's your favorite? What's your favorite swear word?
Fuck.
What is one food that you can never give up?
Pasta.
Oh, me too.
If you could have 3 people over, dead or alive, who would they be?
Ooh. Jack Nicholson.
Yes.
Jim Morrison, but on drugs. I want to experience that. Jack Nicholson, Jim Morrison.
Oh God.
Oof. Me and my grandmother.
Awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
What's the worst backhanded compliment you've ever been given? We've all had them.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. Other than creative not having anything for me.
Yeah. It's the worst. It's the worst. If you could be a member of any TV sitcom, what would it be?
Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, you fit right in.
Okay. 15. Who was your first celebrity crush?
Ooh, Topanga.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too funny. What's something that you've tried that you'll never try again?
Cocaine.
Me too. Me too. Never again. Never again. Never again. And this is a good one. Is there an app that you hate but you use anyway?
Instagram.
Oh, okay.
And Twitter. Instagram and Twitter if you can combine them both.
Yes. Best gift ever received.
Nintendo 64.
Okay. Console.
I just as a Christmas gift, that just popped in.
Good. Toilet paper over or under?
Ooh, the way you hold it on the thing? It's over. Yeah, it's over.
Over. And last but not least, what product would you seriously stockpile if you found out that it wasn't going to be around anymore?
Toilet paper.
Hey, you need to invest in a bidet, man. Bidet will change your life.
We got 3 bathrooms. I don't know if...
Oh, trust me, it'll change your life, man.
Is it really
yeah, I can go on and on about it. And again, using our social media, I always say that it's like a second job. So for me, being an independent contractor and also working with my sponsorships, like I'm always on social media looking for companies to work with. And that's what I do. Like I have an energy drink company that I'm working with. I have a keto snack company because I love to snack. I have a lane for everything. And I promote products and I get compensated. We're a business, at the end of the day. So that's how I use my social media, bro. But yeah, again, we can keep going on and on with this podcast. Thank you for joining us. And also give my love to Deanna. We could have went into, you guys, but that's personal. I'm just so happy that you guys are making moves and together. Very happy.
Well, thank you. Yeah, she's killing it. I'm proud of her. I love her more than anything in the world, and I can't be prouder than her for what she's doing on her own, especially since she's left. So she's just
Hey man, you are lucky. You're lucky I'm gay. I'm telling you that right now. But you're lucky that I'm gay, man, because you and I would be fighting for real.
I appreciate the compliment.
Well, I appreciate it, Steve. Thank you so much for being a guest, man. It was great meeting you, and best of luck to everything that you decide to do from this point on. Whatever it is, you guys are going to be successful, both you and Deanna. And congrats on being homeowners again. Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. It's good to meet you too, Arnold. And then for anybody out there too, Steve Macklin on Instagram, Twitter. Got my pro wrestling tee shop up at Steve Macklin as well. Just dropped some new shirts on there as well. And yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for having me. Sorry I had to put the cheap plug in there, but
No, man, you got to do what you got to
it.
do. Yeah, don't you ever say that. You got to do what you got to do. We're all doing it, baby.
Oh,
so
yeah.
again, what's that?
We're all hustling and grinding.
Exactly. And I'll talk to you soon. And thank you for joining us.
And much love. Thank you again for having me on.
Have a good one, bro.
Peace out.
Later.